Thanks for watching this video on watch parties, house churches, oh my. And before we talk about this topic of digital ministry and how to connect offline and what does that look like and some of the theory and strategy and options, I want to say a special thank you to those who have been watching my digital ministry course since the beginning. I did have an extended pause. If you're watching this, in the first couple of days it's up, you're probably like, hey Jay, where have you been? My SD slot on my Sony 6400 6400 got broken. It's a brand new camera that I bought, and I had to send it in. It was some weird thing, and it was covered under warranty. But thank you for your patience, for everybody. I know I got a couple emails like, "Hey, where you at? What's going on?" So thank you for that. Thank you for being patient. But I'm excited to talk about this today, because I think this is something a lot of churches want to do. They've thought about doing, and they've really wrestled with, how to do it. And I don't think that this is a strategy that every church should be thinking about, where you're encouraging people far from you to engage with you. And that's what a watch party is. A watch party is it's a Sunday morning service that is in a home, and it's one time. It's just, hey, we're going to get together and watch the service together, which some churches call different things. We've historically called them watch parties at my church. But I want to give some of the reasoning behind why we do it. Before that, I want to read Hebrews 10:25. This is a very famous verse that I've been I've been sent or been told over the years, both in positive and negative lights as an online pastor. But Hebrews 10:25 says, "Not giving up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the days approaching." And this is the famous saying, "Do not forsake the gathering." In other translations, it says. Obviously, the writer of Hebrews is writing to a group of Christians to preserve in their faith and to encourage them to kind of continue on in the midst of persecution. And the idea is that don't forsake the gathering. Don't stop meeting together in person. It's important, that habit of gathering together. Early on in the church, it was Saturday, then it turned into Sunday, is important. Knowing each other physically, there's something about proximity that is valuable. It's kind of like with a family. It's always better if you're in a marriage to be near each other than to be apart. Doesn't mean being apart you can't still be married. It's just going to be harder. As an online pastor, I do think it's important for you to understand who's engaging you and why, and thinking through, how do I have a strategy that they ultimately do meet in person? Because I think here, this verse here is not necessarily a command for us, but it's something that is important for us to understand, that both what you enable and intentionally and unintentionally is under your responsibility as a shepherd. And so for us as a church, and again, I don't think every church needs to do this. We do want to provide church to people from all around the world. So if you live, 30 miles beyond one of our physical locations, my job as the online community pastor is to get you into face-to-face community long term. You might start with a digital group, or engaging and connecting with others in our Facebook group, but ultimately at the end of our funnel, or our the pot of gold of our rainbow is, I want you to meet face to face. That might mean in a immediately, or it might mean in a year or so from now. People have different pathways, but we are very intentional on that. Now, if you're a smaller church, or your church that's very local focused, maybe you don't need to do this. That's okay. I think actually most churches fit into that category, where they are a local church that happens to be online, and 99% of their strategy needs to be about reaching their geo area. And if people far away engage, you just put them into a category where you're spiritually nourishing them, but it doesn't mean that they're part of your local congregation or your flock. And so when you read, First Timothy and all the responsibilities of a pastor and leader, you're going, hey, no, like our local congregation is just people in this area, and if you can watch from another place, great. You can watch our content and engage in some small ways, but you're not under our leadership. Our church, we do that. And if you want to do that, I do think you need to figure out, how do you have an offline strategy? How do you bring a Sunday morning experience or an in-person experience in their area? We have found that the best way to do this is through watch parties. And so there's been an interesting history with watch parties. I remember one of the first times I really saw this, and I got the idea for my church, was the Bible series did this, which was a show. I think it was on History Channel. They had a website all set up where they encouraged churches to have watch parties in in a home, and actually they had a web page where they had popcorn and the TV up and a couch, and it was the idea is like get together and watch this Bible series together. It was their marketing ploy to move the church to watch this show, which was super smart. But I saw it as, what if we did that with church service? That was kind of the idea that I got, and a lot of churches were kind of having the similar type of ideas because we had this huge online community that were watching from all around. What if I mobilize those people to watch Sunday service? And so the idea with a watch party is that it's one off. It's it's a party. Get together either Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon. It really can be any day of the week. Most of them are Sunday, and you watch the service and you hang out. So if it's Sunday morning, have some donuts or food or whatever, coffee. If it's Sunday afternoon, have some pizza, watch the service, and hang out. Make it a true party. Ideally get a small group or a Bible study together. You guys do it together. You use it as an evangelistic type of event where you invite people over, you have some fun, and the idea is that it's not just like small group is going to be more circle. It's going to be more intimate. A Sunday morning is going to be more rows. It's going to be more open to new people. And so, and we found that it's kind of like a campaign strategy where we do them a couple times a year around Easter, Christmas, maybe a special event. And we mobilize people to do it. And we get people who sign up to do it. And out of that are leads for people to do it ongoing. And that's where you can have a microsite, a house church strategy, whatever you want to call it. Churches call it extensions, anywhere locations, fill in the blank. I've heard 1,000 words and brandings for this. But the idea is that if your church wants to launch and provide full church to people beyond your physical location, you can lean into a strategy like that. And so, and again, I've thought of it historically as kind of like, it's like a Starbucks strategy where Starbucks has the full service locations. This is, I call it like they have, they serve all the specialty coffee, the fraps and everything. They used to have this like, there's a Starbucks at downtown Disney where I live in California where they have like the special brand that are really expensive. And then you have like a normal Starbucks location that serves all the normal coffee, fraps, blah, 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 all the stuff I don't drink. I just drink cold brew, occasionally an iced latte, but I have to add an extra shot because there's way too much milk in those things. And then you have the Proudly Brew, which is like at a hotel where they might do some of the drinks. They're not going to do a bunch of fraps. And so you have like a full service one, which is like a highlight store. You have like a normal Starbucks location, and then you have a Proudly Brew. And the thought with your church is that if you want to explore kind of a house church type of strategy, you might look and go, hey, it's so expensive to launch these campus locations or to launch a church. What if we did something smaller, which was more lay driven? And so we're looking at how do we provide like a Proudly Brew thing where it's a reduced down experience, it's lay driven. What does that look like? And so, and you got to think about that. Doesn't mean you have to do it. Again, I think most churches fall into that. They're a local church that's online. But for some churches that have vision or have an audience and they really want to go into that, how do you do that? And I want to. I want to, and our church wants to provide full church to people far away. And so that's actually me as the online community pastor, where I become a pastor and I put my pastor cap on, is that if you live so far away, I want you to engage with this digitally at first, but ultimately I'm going to shepherd you or push you, some might say, towards something physical. And either it will be part of our church where you launch something in your community, or I'll find you a church. And so our watch party strategy is how we get it going. It's a one-off thing. It's one time. And we use those as leads for more permanent things, which they might be monthly or every week, depending on what's going on. And I'm really excited about what's possible in this area. I've been talking about this for years, and I've seen a lot of innovation. I really think a lot of the innovation is going to come from smaller churches or people planting churches. People, men and women in seminary now are coming out, and they're going to see, like, I don't need to have a lease or a building to kind of start this. I can start physically. I mean, I can start digitally with a YouTube stream or whatever, and then the idea is let the data drive where we go, and maybe even you never have a physical broadcast location, because it's really hard for a big church to think small. It does happen, and it can happen, but I think churches realize it's really hard to scale this. I think a lot of churches have done this. I don't know of many who have scaled it to hundreds. We're trying to lean into the small group model, which we've had a lot of success with which is like, versus a Bible study to a small group. It's more lay driven. How can we learn from those successes of like launching a bunch of small groups? How can we do this with maybe a Sunday morning expression? So I think there's a lot of things we got to crack and a lot of things we got to figure out philosophically. My encouragement is ask a lot of questions, cast a lot of vision, talk to your insurance provider. I think there are a lot of things around like, wait, like if they sign a covenant with us or a commitment, like are we liable for what happens in there? Again, these are the things you have to wrestle through. But I really love the potential here. I think that there's going to be a lot of decentralized church type of things that are going to happen. And you got to wrestle with, does this fit for our church? Again, I don't think for most it does, but it's something that I think for some it will, especially I think there's going to be some younger people that are going to just think of church differently. We found this with COVID, maybe Sunday morning isn't the Sunday morning and large expressions are the future of a lot of church movements. Maybe there's going to be smaller expressions, and maybe the home is a perfect entryway into your church. And maybe you start in the home and then you go to the building down the road. I don't know. But so what I would love to hear is, are you seeing anything in this space of house churches and watch parties and church planting strategies that are inspiring you? Drop that in the comment or send me a message. I would love to see that. We're doing some new things at our church, and I'm always love to learn together. In our next video, we're going to talk about the importance of scarcity with your streaming model and digital ministry and how that connects back to physical, and how that you need to think about. Maybe you don't need to put everything online. Maybe you need to be strategic on what you offer and how you offer it based off of your approach of digital ministry. So again, thanks so much for watching. Please go back and watch the first couple videos. I encourage you to spot. Can you spot when I got LASIK? You can see in the videos when my glasses got dropped. So, but anyways, hope you're having a good week. If you got any questions or feedback, drop that below. But thanks again for watching.